So what we're looking at here, if these are sort of the three things coming into it that you feel if you got into a healing rut, I'm not too surprised there because I look at your comp, and I don't know that this is 100% what's going to get played through here, but you guys are running Mercy Zen with heavy brawl tanks. So these tanks are a little bit heal greedy, right? Like Reinhardt likes to go swing, trade out some armor, and then put his shield up, sort of get healed back up and go swing again. And Zarya likes to get shot at more than most heroes because she'll go, hey, you shoot at me, she bubbles, she absorbs more, and then she does more. And you guys are a totally legit support combination as Mercy Zen. This is a 100% legit support combination, but this is not your favorite tank line, and they're not, and you guys aren't their favorite support line. So that's sort of why you're feeling like you're in this situation. But the solution to, hey, you're healing too much, or you feel like you're healing too much, is generally going to be what I generally talk about is spending your team's health. When you're blue beaming, when you're damage boosting, you're sort of letting your team's health be spent as a resource and trading your team's health for extra damage to be done. And when is that better to do versus worse to do?
Um, so when you feel hmm, when you feel like you can still use that health as a resource, I suppose when you feel like they're not taking more damage, then you can sort of emergency heal them back up again. Or when you feel like that balance between the damage coming in and coming out, you can kind of equalize a little bit more. Um, I guess, or when you feel like your team can be overwhelming them with
How about when you
damage.
can spend the health and not lose?
Mm,
When does your team have the health to spend and still not get one shot?
I sort of feel like for the squishies, I try like it's maybe a little bit over half, and
Okay.
tanks can go more.
Okay.
And they've got defensive abilities as well, so you can kind of use their cooldowns too. Um, but so I sort of feel like with DPS is maybe around halfish health, and with tanks you can go depending on the tank, you can let them get a
Okay.
bit lower, but they get into that danger zone when their health is kind of like I don't know, it's
They
towards
stop
the end of
doing
the bar.
anything type thing. Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
Mm,
So I would say their actual health threshold that you can allow them for does depend on the situation. It's not strictly 50% for tanks and 30% for, or 50% for DPS and 30% for tanks. Sometimes I'm not comfortable letting a DPS get below 60, 70, or even 80% health, and I'm not comfortable letting a tank get below 50% health. It really depends what the incoming situation looks like. But yeah, you can spend people's health as a resource. But the key that I'm getting to here is really before the fight has started and when everyone is healthy is when it's easiest to damage boost, right? Like it's easiest to get the most value out of damage boost sort of at the beginning of the fight. And if you're getting value out of damage boost, doing more damage to the other team, you're either eliminating people or you're making people take more damage and go for cover and give up their angles, which causes your team to take less damage, which causes you to need to heal them less, right?
mm.
So, really, what you're going to do in this support setup where you're Mercy Zen with heavy brawl tanks is you're looking early in the fight, in the poke phase, in the very beginning of the brawl, perhaps, to go, hey, I'm going to go heavy on the damage boost. And as the fight goes on, if you're winning hard enough, you might never or for very little have to get off of damage boost. But if the fight starts going more even, or the opponents start catching back up, or even the opponents start getting ahead a little bit, you're probably going to have to heal heavier, and that's just reality, right? Like we don't want to do it, but if our Reinhardt is at 30% health, we're probably going to heal him up to 50% health if a Winston and a Zarya are fighting him, right?
Mm, mm.
And no one else is really going to cap him off for you because it's Mercy's End. So you probably have to get him up. You can leave, like if he's at 50% and you see Hanzo is storm arrowing, you might jump off to go boost the storm arrow, absolutely. But you're kind of mostly going, you want to stay in Reinhardt's proximity until maybe he's even back up to 80%, because you can let Harmony Orb take care of that last 20%, but he's never going to get his health back from 50% to 100 during a fight with just Harmony Orb, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really true. And I guess like my Zen does end up swapping off to Anna, but it's
Okay.
something when I am playing with a Zen, I sometimes like because I want their ult is really really strong,
Hmm.
and so I do want them to be healing
Sure.
and getting their ult. And is it sort of more that I wait, like you have those sort of moments in between, and that's where you kind of just really ignore all healing and let them get all of that healing, or are you kind of causing issues with how much your team can be aggressive because you're kind of letting that phase be a little bit
Yeah.
too
So
defensive?
if your Zen is really close to Transcendence, like they've got 10% left to Transcendence or something, you can let them heal up if you've got time between fights. But I would not start like making it a permanent habit of going, oh no no no, let my Zen heal things up, because yes, people are going to take less space. Your Zen just can't get people healed up as quickly as you might like. And also remember, your Zen's got damage feeding into their ult too, and you have damage boost feeding into your ult. But Mercy does a lot of her healing and gets a lot of her ult charge between fights, more so than Zen really. So I would say yes, his ult is good, but if you want Zen to get his ult, sure, you can let him heal people up between fights when he's really close to his ult, but you can also just damage boost him more, right?
Yep, yep, yep. No, that makes sense. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Okay, so that would sort of be heals. And then the mental reboot of like, oh, I fell behind, and like, what do I do? I fell behind, and now you're getting mad at yourself, and that's causing you to play worse because you're too focused on the fact that you're falling behind and you're healing too much and you're not damage boosting enough. Well, I think in some ways we've solved that by solving the first issue of saying you don't need to worry about it too much in these situations where, well, you're not going to get back into it because like you're if your team is all at 20% health, you're going to be healing for a while and you're not going to get very much damage boost done for the next 8 seconds, right? Like that's just
Mm,
kind of reality. Once you get late into the fight, once everyone's health gets low, you're going to be doing a bit more healing than you might like. You might get people up to 60%, but then your priority is probably healing the next guy who's at 20% rather than damage boosting the guy at 60%. But hey, you get multiple people back up, sure, you're going to find chances to damage boost, but it's very similar to a Valkyrie, where with a Valkyrie, we might start on blue beam. We might get to spend like a third of our time to start on blue beam before we have to do even a pinch of yellow beam. Then we'll have to do some yellow beam because people got health. Then we go back and do blue beam, but we're probably not going to get to stay on blue beam as long this time because we didn't actually heal everyone all the way up to the top with yellow beam, so we have to go back to yellow beam again sooner. But that's fine because we're sort of trying to get the blue beam early in that Valkyrie, right? And it's the same thing for a normal fight with your normal stuff. So like this mental reboot thing is really just take it a little easier on yourself. Understand, hey, once you fall behind, it's hard to get back in, and you're not worried about, oh, what do I need to do differently in the past? You're worried about, okay, well, I'll handle that better in the future, right? Like it's really not a big deal to get stuck on healing. Like it's not good, but it's not the end of the world of, oh, I got stuck on healing for this fight. Well, that's already happened. That's already in the past. The right thing to do at this point when your Reinhardt is 20% is, yes, in fact, to heal. And if we get out of it, we might damage boost, but we're probably not going to get out of it very heavily in this fight. That's more of a, okay, well, I thought about it and now we'll do it better for the next fight. So like you just have to go, that's water under the bridge, that's a sunk cost, and don't get too tied up in the sunk cost. Do you feel like you can do that?
yeah, no, okay. That's a good way of looking at it.
Okay. Good, good. And then finally, like finding opportunities to damage boost in duels, figuring out how to force wins with damage boost instead of heal. Some of that can be surrounding cooldowns. Some of that can be surrounding, let's say you have a McCree and a Hanzo fighting each other. And the opponent and the opposing McCree is there. Well, let's just analyze this real quick. You have a Hanzo, they have a McCree, and they're fighting each other, and your Hanzo's at 40% life. Should you heal him or damage boost him?
And what's the well, I can't see the life of the McCree. So if my Hanzo's at 40%, then he could get like McCree does 70 damage. So I feel like there I'd want to heal him up a
Yep.
tiny bit, but be swapping to damages, especially trying to track where his arrows are shooting. So a little bit of like a little bit of a juggle.
Sure, you could do a little bit of a juggle. You could try to take advantage of his fire rate and go, hey, I'm going to try to heal him, but I'm going to try to predict when he fires his arrows to weave damage boosts. You could do that. It's also totally fine with me if you go, I'm going to heal him up to the point at which a single headshot doesn't take him down. I'm going to heal Hanzo up to the
Mm.
point at which a single headshot doesn't take him down, and then I'm just going to hard damage boost. And if I get windows, like, I might still continue to weave heal from there, like we were talking about, where, hey, I'm going to try to catch his arrows with blue beam, but heal the rest of the time to eventually get him up to full health. But that's more how you'd think about that. And the other thing becomes, okay, well, does that help? Because we just assumed that, but what if your Hanzo's at 40% and the McCree is at, I don't know, 70%, and they're close to each other, and the McCree has flashbang still, or you don't know if the McCree has flashbang. Does healing your Hanzo help?
Yeah, I think I should be healing there because I need to be pre-healing that and getting that higher so that maybe he can survive the flashbang.
Are you gonna get him from 40% to a place at which he even has a
Oh,
good chance of healing the flashbang before he gets flashed?
yeah, no, probably not. It would probably be better to be damage boosting there, actually.
Right.
Um,
It's the sort of thing where it's like
yeah.
you're only out, Hanzo's only out is hitting shots and you making those shots, like Hanzo hitting the headshots or Hanzo popping the storm arrow and taking him down before he gets flashed and eliminated or before that flash is,
Mm,
back when it's back in a second or so. Like that's the only out. You could get lucky and be like, "Hey, he's at full health and he's getting healed when the flash comes in so he survives." That could happen, but you have to get him there first. Like that doesn't really seem like the high probability strat anymore, right?
yeah,
But
no, that's where I have that issue where I'm like, oh, I can heal them out of this terrible situation, but
right,
they
and
have no hope.
right, and it's the sort of thing where it's like if I'm gonna have to heal you for seconds, for like 2, 3 seconds to get you to a point where you're not in trouble, I probably and this guy's got potential one shot opportunity on you until then, I probably just need you to one shot him instead. Like so there's a
Mm,
balance to be had there. So when it comes to this duel, it really is sort of analyzing the duel. It's thinking about what each party can do to each other. Yes, you want to get them to certain health thresholds where they can't get eliminated, like above headshot health thresholds. You want to boost them when they're using their abilities, but you also want to think about what is their actual out. And that just takes practice. But I can
mm.
walk you through some more if you like, but that's the sort of thinking that you're going to want to start doing. Okay?
Yeah, no, that's I like that example that you gave me because that gives me something to really try and focus on when I'm in these situations and what to look for that balance in the damage boosting. So thank you very, very much for that tip. That's
Of
something
course.
I'm gonna try and try and keep in my focus.
Works. Sounds good. Sounds good. So with that, shall we get into the review here?
Ready for battle.
Yes, please.
No problem.
Treasure? Sure, I don't know anything you're talking about.
I'll have my eye on you, Omnic.
And I will watch your back.
Ready for battle.
Okay, so as we sort of talked about before, you do have a setup that's really set up to enable your DPS, to really enable DPS with your supports, but your tanks are very much not set up that way. So we're going for this, early boost. Okay, so that's a little unfortunate. So we see this. You're pre-boosting him, no problem whatsoever, and then this happens, and that's his Storm Arrow animation, right?
Mm.
So we want to stay on damage boost here. And I don't really care that he took a little damage. He's still at a good 70-80% health, and he's got Storm Arrow. And if he wants to, he can use his little leap to close that angle, right? Like if Hanzo's in trouble, Hanzo can solve that Hanzo's in trouble right now. Yes?
Yes, yes, no, that's true. He didn't really need that
Right.
healing there.
So since he's storm arrowing, that's kind of high priority. It's not like a 10 out of 10 high priority for us to damage boost, but we have an extra desire to damage boost that over standard Hanzo shots, over standard Junkrat shots, over Zarya right clicks, even over healing him when he's at 70 or 80%. Super jumping up, sure. Don't really want to stay here. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was I was like, oh no, I have to run away.
All good. So you're doing that, and then you swap over here. I'm not sure why we swapped over on heals rather than swapping over immediately on damage, but you warn your Zen, then once your Hanzo loads up an arrow, you swap to damage. That's fine, except it's not actually your Hanzo, it's your Zarya. That's a
Yeah,
little less good. All good.
Misclicked there, and I didn't realize I'd grabbed the wrong target.
Yep.
So
Yep. Not a big deal.
Let me get you patched up.
Sure, you can get him here. That's fine. And then we're going to swap to damage boost. Not sure why we're back on heals here.
yep. No, not
But
great.
this is fine. You're like, hey, there's the Winston is landing. You want to heal them? Sure, that's fine. We get a little bit on Hanzo. Then we're going to swap to Zen, right? Sure, and now we're going to damage boost the Zen. Don't need to boost the Hanzo remotely, or don't need to heal the Hanzo remotely here. I could heal the Zen, who might be in some danger, or I could boost the Hanzo to break the bubble faster. Those are my options. I just don't care about Ryan Reinhardt. I don't. He's in no danger from a Winston. And really, this Zen, I'm okay with healing this Zen. Totally okay with healing this Zen. But, do I need to? Is my Zen really in any danger from this other team?
No, he's pulled back so that he's out of line of sight, and the Winston's sort of like he was in a dangerous position there. So if we'd had more focus fire and more damage on him, maybe we could have got rid of him or just made him go away even sooner.
Right, right. So it's not a huge deal what happened here, but this is the sort of thing where your Zen isn't really in danger. More damage might have helped. Not a big deal. If you'd gone for, hey, let's get back to this. If you here had been like, I throw a tick of healing on Hanzo, now I swap to a tick of healing on Zen, no problem.
Mm.
But now we're sort of well past that. That Winston Zarya bubble is broken. That Winston is clearly backing off. That Winston can't leap again, so he's not just going to appear on your Zen. Your Zen is unlikely to need any healing for a good 2 seconds because I don't think your Winston the Winston can threaten him again until he's got leap back, and I really think it's unlikely he's going to. Right? That he's going to jump in again without either bubble available to him.
Yep. No, that's very true.
Right. So we'll just do some more damage because we can't help the purple people. We can't help the purple tanks with our heals, so let's just damage boost.
Damage increased. This is not the end.
Fine. And again, if you panic and heal your Zen here, no problem.
I'm
It'll
taking
probably
care
put
of
them
you.
back in the fight. Great.
I've got you.
And then we're probably back on Hanzo rather than Ryan. It's fine. And again, you're sort of defaulting to catching people on heals here, which I don't mind, but like your Hanzo doesn't need heals. Like he's fine.
No.
Your
Yeah, no, I was
Zarya, okay, you can heal Zarya here, but like we don't need to. And again, you just default to heals. I think anytime you're doing Guardian Angel maneuvers or super jumps or anything like that, your brain has an easier time doing the left click. Like that's just sort of part of how you've ingrained it. So I would actually practice doing some of these things intentionally with blue beam active rather than yellow beam. And I could be wrong. You could do a ton of that later, but based on what I've seen so far, when you do your movement, you tend to just like your brain defaults to yellow. You with me so far?
No, that is definitely something that I do. I was going to bring that up at the start as well, but I forgot about it. But I am actually finding whenever I'm thinking about something else, and it annoys me because I've got my sort of settings set up so that like it's on the hold settings. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to have it so that I'm always holding damage boost and then sort of just tapping healing when I need it. But
Mm. Okay.
I'm not. It's still defaulting to healing when I'm just in that space of thinking of something else and just
Oh,
so
sure.
I need yeah, it's probably like you said, I just need to really focus on practicing keeping that damage boost down and not healing when I'm in that
Do
transition
something
phase.
sort of complicated. Like literally practice. I'm sure you've practiced super jumps before, probably not just in matches, maybe before matches start, maybe in the training room, but you've probably practiced super jumps before, right?
Yep.
Just go do that with blue beam. Like literally just go do some super jump practice with blue beam. It's not as good a pressure as actually being under fire, but there's like more button presses, more trying to get the timing right, etc. involved in it, and you're adding the extra step of like, no, I have to do this. If you go from hey, I have to do super
Mm,
jumps while blue beaming, then mixing in I have to do regular guardian angels while blue beaming, that should be easy by comparison, right?
mm. No, that's a good point. A lot of the sort of practice maps for super jump is set up so that you don't have any allies around, so you're kind of always practicing them without any any beam management or thought at all. So that's a good point. Add a little ally bot in there
There you go.
to yeah. No, no, thanks for that.
Sure. Okay, no problem.
You needed a doctor?
Okay, and this is the sort of thing where you can be pre-thinking. Healing your Reinhardt here is good. But I know at this point that I'm going to lose my Reinhardt. I'm probably going to lose my beam on my Reinhardt. I'm holding it down until the wall breaks it, but the wall is eventually going to break it, right? So you're already
Yeah.
planning your next move. That might be damage boosting Zen, that might be damage boosting Zarya, or that might be damage boosting Hanzo. But I'm already planning what my next move is likely to be. And it could change. It could be Zen suddenly takes damage, and now my next move is to heal Zen. It could be that Hanzo, who was back here, so I wasn't interested in damage boosting, steps forward, and now I am interested in damage boosting him over my Junkrat, over my Zen. But we can already be planning our next move here, and that's going to make our next move faster. Now, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, well, now we're healing Zarya. We probably didn't really want to be healing Zarya, right? Like, that was probably the least good of our move options, right?
Yeah, no, I think here I found myself out in front of my whole team with the whole enemy team there, and my Reinhardt's gone for the health pack, and I just wanted to get undercover
Sure.
again, I think. And so I wasn't
You're not
even,
thinking
and
about
this
your
is
beam, you're
where,
thinking about your positioning. Yep.
yeah, yeah,
And you should be thinking about your positioning because this is not where we want to be. I get why you were drifting right. You didn't want to make it harder on Reinhardt. If Reinhardt opened the angle, you wanted to be able to continue to heal him. And if you drifted left, that would have been harder. I get that. I'd have said, you're on your own, Reinhardt. I'm drifting left. But I do understand where you're coming from here. That said, we again need to sort of get to this place where even if we make some mistakes and we're blue beaming, like when our Zarya starts taking damage, when our Zarya gets down to 50 health because we're doing that, like we want to have that option. Even if we're late on the swap because we're thinking about our movement, we want to get a little bit of comfort with doing most. But that's okay.
yep,
Damage
yep.
boost engaged.
Okay. Oh, the Zen, the Zen, the Zen! Sure.
Let me get you patched up. We still need you.
Oh boy. That was a little dicey. So the res is fine. That I'm not worried
We
about.
still need you.
And then you go here, and that Hanzo is simply not available. So what do you need to do?
Yeah, I need to wait back in that corner until he's peaked me a little bit more so I can get across that gap
Yep.
much
Don't
faster.
don't do this. Do not do not do this as mercy. Without your guardian angel, your movement is just too rough.
Mm.
I'm taking care of you. Heroes never die.
Okay. So if we were gonna go for this Valk,
Oh, so this
taking
Valk
care of
was a little bit like I felt like I felt a little bit like my tanks have they've just decided they love death here. And I felt like, well, I got a little bit under pressure from the Winston jumping me. And I felt like, well, if I'm going to give them the best chance of survival, or to get out of this situation, I can use my Volk. But if they die, I've got really good mobility to get out and reposition and help us not stagger at the next
sure,
point.
sure.
So that was the thinking around it.
Totally understand your thinking, and from your perspective, with what you're aware of the battle, people got eliminated on your side. You were losing. You remember those souls. You rezzed one of them, but there were souls in the middle of the road. This feels like a fight that your team is losing, and the other team is backing up, but it still feels like a fight that you're losing. Now, I'm going to show you something. How's your team doing?
They're not actually as bad as I thought. I thought I only had my tanks alive,
Right. Right.
basically.
No, I totally get it. Totally get it. So I understand why you thought the situation was what it was, but your team's doing fine. That's why this team is retreating. They're like, wait, we're actually getting pushed back. We don't like this. We're doing this. So they're actually not in great shape right now. And this Zarya is actually going to struggle to get out, right? Like this Zarya is using their personal bubble here and has a fair ways to go still. This Widow's up here without grapple. This Lucio is here. You know, it's Lucio, so it can probably get out, but there's potentially eliminations to be had here, right?
Yep.
So there's potentially eliminations to be had here. At least your tanks think so. So if you think that, hey, we're winning or it's close, you'd Valk right now. You're only going to get 2 initially, but your Doomfist will be in the fight in a second. You can swap over to boost your Hanzo if it's relevant. You can go contest the Widow yourself if you want. Like, if you think this fight is winnable, you would Valk right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think this fight is winnable, you're just not going to Valk at all. Unless it becomes winnable.
Heroes
This
never
situation
die.
is now worse than the situation that you had a second ago. Yes?
Yeah, no, our Zarya gets like one shot by the Widow. She was too low, so we lose her there.
Right.
Yeah.
So we go from this situation that, hey, this, if you actually understand what's going on, is fine, and you could Valk into this. Now you're in this situation where you're Valking to try to
Heroes never
catch
die.
up on your Zarya's health. And if you have to catch up on your Zarya's health, this is sort of what we were going over at the beginning. You're going to spend the first like quarter of your Valk at least just locking heals on Zarya and hoping you get other people. That's not as good as what you could have done a second ago when you could have started on blue, right? And if you invest in
Yep.
blue, you're probably going to have to heal less because you're going to drive the other team back harder. We've sort of covered this. So now you're doing a less good Valk. You're more doing this as like almost a baby Transcendence, but like Transcendence is 300 health per second and this is 60 health per second. That's not a good
Mm-hmm.
ult if we're using it like that. So, again, this isn't like the end of the world, but we're not going to be able to res her during our Valk if she goes down. We have that on cooldown, and it's not Valk doesn't let us do that anymore. And we're also in this situation where we could have turned a fight that was close but slightly in our favor into a more certain win with that Valk, or we could have just said, oh, I think we're losing and not Valked, but this is a compromise that doesn't make any sense right here. So, like, again, I don't mind
Yep.
that you didn't properly understand where the fight was. I do mind that you thought that you were behind in the fight by too much to win it, but then you decide it's still
Heroes
worth
never
Valking
die.
here when you think you're this behind. You follow?
Yep. No, I'm following that. That is true. And it was a bad Volk.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like healing my Reinhardt instead of catching up on the heals on Zarya too. So it was some pretty poor decision making.
It's fine as long as you recognize it, and we just have recognizing it in replay is the first step to going, okay, now can I make that better decision? If I can make the good decision in replay, can I then go to the next step of making the decision a little faster in game, and then eventually making the decision in real time in game? But that's okay. Okay.
Where does it hurt? Damage
Where's your teammate? Like, I'm looking around, and I'm healing my Torb, and that's cool, but I'm really interested in something better to do than heal my Torb, right? Because, like, am I going to damage boost my Torb? Am I going to damage boost my Zarya? What's interesting that I can do after I've got this Torb as in a reasonable shot? Can I...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So I was thinking, like, Zenyatta's pretty good for damage boost here because he's got good
Sure.
range and he's got quite large projectiles. Torbjorn also has range, but it's a little bit like it's a more arcing
Yep,
projectile. It can
it's
be a
hard
little
to
bit
hit with.
harder to hit. So I think the decision I sort of made was like my Zen's also quite close to ult, and so I did end up damage boosting my Zenyatta a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. We do have a McCree. I kind of felt like he was a little bit out of range
Okay.
for a little bit of it. So yeah, that was my target priority
Okay.
kind of thing. Yeah.
But your Torb is going to heal up long before your Zen is in a relevant position to boost. So are you then going to heal your Zen? Are you then going to boost your Zarya? Are you then going to look for a Fire Strike? Like, just the reality of how this works, right, is like your Zen isn't going to open this angle. His health is too low. He also has a bunch of traveling to do to open this angle. This Torb isn't going to take that long to heal up. So what are we going to do with this downtime? Are we going to boost Torb? Are we going to Guardian Angel past Zarya and boost her out here in the open? Are we going to try to reach from here with our beam to boost her? Are we going to heal Zen? What are we going to do?
So I definitely wanted to stay in this cover. I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to run around to Zarya. Zarya doesn't have any charge, so
Yep.
actually it probably would have been good to try and get a fire strike off Reinhardt. If he was gonna go for one,
Sure. I don't
might
think he
have
will.
been
I think
better.
he already did that. Oh, he might in 2 seconds. But okay. Okay.
Where does it hurt?
I don't know why you're healing them.
Damage increased.
Good. You boosted the 5 orb. Fine. I'm already looking for who I'm boosting after. Okay. And again, you're sort of passing off here of like, as you're healing someone up to full, you should already be thinking about what's the next thing I'm doing with my beam. What am I going to do? And right now, sure, it can be heal that torb if you want. I don't think it needs to be, but it can be. And then I'm already thinking about what am I doing? Am I going to swap to damage boost once I've got that torb at a health level that I'm okay with? Am I going to boost my Zen? Well, your Zen's not ready to be boosted yet, right? He's not close on that angle. So you're probably just going to damage boost your torb, right?
Yep. That would make sense.
But you're going to be ready because you see your Zen's charging a 5 orb to, at a moment's notice, flip over to damage boosting your Zen, right?
Yeah, no, I need to be doing a lot better planning around these things than I am currently.
We're trying to look a little more into the future. Exactly. We're not trying to
Mm,
react to what's
mm,
happening. It's like, hey, my Hanzo's over here. He's probably going to Storm Arrow. Or, hey, my Hanzo's tucked himself in here. He's probably going to Dragon Strike. Or, hey, my Zen's charging an orb. They're probably about to do this thing. My Reinhardt looks like he's starting to move out from cover. I bet there's a Fire Strike that's going to happen. We're sort of thinking
mm.
about what's going to happen next. Oh, Monkey jumped up over here. He's probably about to show up. Let me go up here and boost my McCree that can keep him honest, whatever the case may be. But that's okay. We're just trying to, while you're getting someone healed up, think about the next thing that you can be doing.
Damage boost engaged.
Yeah, and I'm definitely a little bit too reactive, and I'm not sort of future thinking enough.
And so that 5 orb got thrown, and we were just healing a Torb that is not only full health, he's overloaded, he's over full health. Like we don't care about him.
Healing stream engaged. You've got this.
McCree's your target, sure.
You should be at peak performance
Now you're
levels.
boosting a Zen who's behind the wall and can't see the opponents. Good. Zarya's fine. You don't need to heal Zarya any higher. I promise she's okay.
Damage.
Oh boy. Good adjustment.
Bad guy.
The battle continues. Damage increased. The battle continues.
This is fine. They're purple, but I get it. It's a reaction time. We'd have liked to swap their purple as well. Now we have a Transcendence going. So is there any situation in which we want to heal into this Transcendence?
Oh, not at all. Not
Right.
at all.
Right. Okay. So we want a damage boost, and specifically we've
Damage
got to damage boost our
increase.
Zarya. We cannot damage boost our Zen, unfortunately.
No, he's a little bit locked up.
Let's get you back out there.
Sure. Do you hear it? Do you hear it behind you? There you go.
Yeah.
That's probably not where I wanted to go. I look at this, and you're now aware that there's enemies in this direction and an enemy in this direction. So you could go in here, that's an option, but you're then potentially going to get stuck, right? If the Winston comes over here and like sticks you in here, and then the enemies can come through here. Like, I don't really feel like this is safe enough. I'd take it if I had to, but I could Guardian Angel past my Torb and put myself here pretty easily, and that just feels better to me. What about you?
Yeah, no, that does feel better. That probably would have been a better option.
Okay.
Let me get you.
I kind of just jumped for my first Guardian Angel
Yep,
target.
Yep, I
thinking,
see it. I see it. And while doing so, you run heal beam on a bubbled Zarya. Again,
Yep.
I'm gonna keep the focus on this because
Damage boost
this is
engaged.
clearly gonna be like one of the most important things for you to drill. Like, just get comfortable doing movement well on blue beam. Even if you don't look at their health at all, even if you're not thinking about this health bar that's, in the middle of your screen, even if you're completely ignoring it, just getting comfortable with the option of doing these movements on blue beam will then help you level up to the level where you can actually start paying attention a little bit to this health bar while doing your movements.
No, that's a very good point.
Heroes never die.
Okay, not a big deal, but we look at this and we see, hey, those are two of our teammates coming back from spawn. Zen we just see went down in the kill feed, so we're down at least 3 people right now. And that's someone that's critical health, and the opponent's like, we don't want to Valk this because this is just a lost fight, right?
Oh, but our top has ult, and I thought that we could win.
Okay. Your Torb, that's an interesting interpretation of has ult. If I was ult tracking for red team, I would say Torb has ult right now. For blue team, I'm not sure I say Torb has ult.
It's nearly there.
Oh,
It's nearly there. I decided he
okay.
was gonna have it in time. It was a pretty dicey
Okay.
bulk,
Okay.
but it was kind of. I
Sure,
felt I felt like we had a chance to win.
you feel like you have to Valk to keep you guys in this long enough to get Torbolt, and you're going to piggyback Valk into Torbolt to stall long enough to get back to the 6v6.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Heroes never die.
I like it. I like it.
You should be at peak performance.
Okay, so nah, that's probably not working into actually. You're doing that. This is good.
Hurt.
You can heal Reinhardt, stabilize this, etc. That's fine. Healing Reinhardt here is okay, but is healing Reinhardt here going to do more to turn the fight? Your Reinhardt who has armor and is surrounded and can't defend himself against this Winston and Lucio? Or is damage boosting McCree who can remove targets pretty quickly and has a good position going to do more?
Well, I want to get that res on the Torb, so I want Reinhardt to live long enough to be a sacrifice, so that they're all focused on him, so I can get the res on the Torb, so that he can win this fight with his ult.
That's nice. I want McCree to eliminate someone so that there's less people on the board so that it is easier for me to get the res off.
That's probably a better play.
It's okay. So like if your Reinhardt was at like 30% right now, yes, you'd absolutely heal him because that keeps him as a distraction on the board so McCree can do more damage for longer. But your Reinhardt has enough health right now and can't really shield against this stuff anyways, and you're not really going to be able to totally heal him out of this situation. We will extend how long this situation lasts with healing, and that's good, but I would rather shorten how long the situation is bad, at least initially, with some damage boost on Kree here. Also, if McCree hits, 2 shots, he's going to have high noon, right? Now, I don't expect
No,
you to
that's
know that
true.
at the time, but yeah, there you go. There you go. So we do this.
You should be at peak
Fine.
performance
Now
levels.
it would make more sense if you hadn't been healing, your Reinhardt would be a little bit weaker right now. Plus, these guys would be in a bubble, and maybe it would now make more sense to swap back to healing your Reinhardt. But okay. Now healing your Reinhardt is appropriate. I don't potentially love the idea of sacrificing our Reinhardt to get the Torb up, but Torb does have ult,
Let's get you back in the fight.
so I'll go with it.
Turning up the heat.
Damage increased. Where does it hurt?
Sure. Okay.
Don't let up on them.
I'm fire.
Sniper, be careful.
Got to heal Anna. Anna? Good.
Damage amplified.
Okay, recovery successful.
Mercy in the right. You should be at peak performance levels.
Your team comp has changed a little bit, though. So now who are your good boost targets, and how are we thinking about this game?
I think that my good boost targets are probably Ryan and Torb. Sorry, not Ryan. There's no Ryan. Are probably McCree and Torb. And they're the two that I should be focusing on. I should be trusting my Anna with the tanks a lot more. And I
Yep.
think I didn't have a lot of I had low faith in my Anna, which might have been from them being Zen at this. Like I got really stuck in just
Mhm.
I was totally just healing way too much this game, and I
Sure.
definitely didn't have enough faith and trust in my Anna as I needed to have, which I think was really bad for me. But yeah, I should have been more focused on my Torb and my McCree. I was very upset with the Widow, and I really wanted to kill her
Okay, well, you
as
did that
well.
already. You did that already.
I wanted to kill her more.
Okay,
Um,
okay. So I'm game. I'm game with taking the Widow out more. Best way to do that is probably going to be to get more Valks, but I'm game with that. You could also damage boost some McCree's, tilt her a little bit, whatever. But okay, so yes, you do want to recognize when the comps change on either side, how it changes what your job is, and your comp has changed pretty meaningfully. The biggest change being that your Zen went Anna, who is now going to take over more on tank healing, something that you never wanted to do but were sort of stuck doing, and now you're really only interested in triage healing tanks. So we're really not interested in being on heal beam on this full health Winston right now. We might, be on it, I don't know, for giggles as we're Guardian Angeling up to him because he's not going to damage anything, and maybe he'll take some damage as we're Guardian Angeling up. But we're really not very interested in this, and we're much more interested, you got it, in enabling your DPS. Obviously, you'll still heal for your Anna, you'll still help stabilize tanks if they get down to 20, 30% life until Anna can get them back on their feet, but you got it. You got it. Cool.
Let me get you patched up.
Again, so be it. It's a little scary that you stood here, because if you just got shot by Soldier over here, he can probably also see you here. Like, that worries me a little bit, but you do that, you go over here. And again, are we worried about our McCree's health? Can Lucio one-shot your McCree right now?
No, but there is a Widow around there somewhere, I think.
Is healing your
And that's-
McCree going to help with the one-shot scenario that we're talking about?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay, so his solution is to eliminate the Lucio faster. If he gets down to like 20, 30% health against Lucio, sure, we might be interested in healing him. But right now, if it's just a Lucio and a one-shot hero that he's up against, and I don't think, okay, so she's right there, fine. We're interested in the damage boost. That's how we help him win. That's the better out for him.
Yep.
What's McCree up to? Okay. What's McCree up to? Good. Create some distance. Okay, that works. Healing Anna is good. I like healing Anna. Do I have any desire to Guardian Angel into that blob of blue and red people?
Oh, not at all. This was a terrible Guardian Angel. I should have stayed around this corner.
Well, I actually wouldn't have kept you here. I'd have said, hey, you can go over and boost Torb here, or hey, you can go boost McCree here. You can do way more from helping either of these guys than you can from here. Like, you aren't going to be able to reach your beam forward. Winston's not going to be able to jump on you with either of these people present. So it's just like, yeah, you can put your Guardian on cooldown to get to one of these guys, right?
Yeah, it opens up my angle a lot better as well. They would be much nicer than what I did.
Little bit.
I got very lucky, I think.
Oh boy, yes you did. Yes you did.
Where does it hurt?
Taking damage.
This is not the end.
A second chance.
Here we go. Cap.
Healing stream engaged.
Sure, less interested in your tanks than you are.
Has arrived.
Sure. So if you're
I've
in trouble and you're taking damage, one of the
I
things
helped here. Oh, sorry.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
interrupt way too much.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. It's your understanding that we're evolving, so it's if you have things to say, that's fine. I'll generally let you go for a bit, and then I'll get in what I need here. So you're gonna Valk here. Okay, that's what it is. I don't necessarily love that. I might have Valked. I would have tried to not be in trouble in the first place. Like, I can live with that, but we sort of look at this and go, hey, here we
Your
are.
support has
Okay, I
arrived.
don't need to get close to my McCree here. I could boost my McCree from here, and it was a pretty safe spot, right? And I can just slow fall down. But okay, so we're doing this. We Guardian Angel a little bit into danger here. That's not great. And now you're going to Valk, and I'll deal with it. But even if you don't Valk, even if Valk or not Valk, let's put it like this. So Winston zapping you and just you. We would like
But
Winston
I wanted to kill the Widow.
we would like Winston to stop zapping us, right? One solution is we leave with our next Guardian Angel, or we Valk, or whatever. The other solution is if we're taking damage, anytime Winston is on us, we probably want to be damage boosting. Like, unless we are specifically healing someone else that he is also taking down, we probably are better off damage boosting, right? Like, we're in this situation, like, even if we were with Zen, if Zen and you are both getting zapped, yes, it's possible that you would go, I want to heal Zen, etc. Or if you and McCree were both standing here, I suppose it's possible, but unlikely that you would want to heal him. You almost certainly are better, like, you're going to get eliminated. You're going to take a trip to spawn generally when Winstons are on you, unless unless you either get out or you make them leave. So your staff preference, anytime you're getting electrocuted, is like 90% of the time going to be damage boost, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
And I guess that goes into that. When I'm thinking about I was under pressure here, thinking about something else, and
Mm.
that's my beam just totally. So that's a really big habit I have to
Oh, it
change.
absolutely is. And I'm trying to set up little micro situations, though, like this. Like when you're being zapped just 90% of the right time, I don't care who you're boosting, I don't care what you're doing. You can 100% be thinking about how you're going to get out of being zapped, but I want you to just automatically blue beam when you're being zapped by Winston. Because it's incredibly unlikely if you're being zapped by Winston that anyone else is going to go down to Winston before you are, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
That's really really true.
Okay.
Heroes never die.
So yeah, the main reason behind this, I
and
knew
the
where
high-chaff fiends.
thought I knew where Widow was, and I was like, I'm totally gonna go kill her.
Okay.
But she ran away, and then she killed
Did.
my whole team anyway.
Ouch! Ouch. Okay. Okay.
The battle continues. Thank you. Damage boost engaged. You need a workshop.
Sure. I see this. He's got a little bit. I know he's cleaving people. I kind of want to damage boost him, but he primed. Okay. Sure. That's a 90% health Zarya that we're healing.
Let's get you back out there.
ultimate is charging.
This heal makes sense.
I could use some
Ultimate
assistance.
is charging. Deploy.
I've got
Good.
you.
Right idea.
I'm 60 seconds.
Okay. So I'm good with this.
I've got you.
This is appropriate.
I'm 60
High ground
seconds.
McCree might have been better than that. You can reach Zarya from here with your beam, right?
Yeah, there was no reason to fly out into Widow's sightline
You
there.
got it. Well, not even Widow's sightline. I couldn't care less about Widow's sightline. You're flying into the Winston and the Lucio to do this.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
No, it was really, really not great. I'm not sure why I do that kind of stuff. Like there's no reason for me to move here. And it's like I'm like my low HP target that's being targeted by everything is like a flame, and I'm just like, oh, I must
Right. You're
jump
like,
out
oh,
and
you're lower health, so I have to get closer. That doesn't make you heal more.
no, it doesn't. So, that's something I need to be a bit more cognizant of, I think, and make sure that I'm really, really hugging that cover.
Yep. And in this case, this would have been a stick your beam on them and then literally just go behind you. And it'll break after like
Mm,
1.2 seconds, but I don't care. We still got 90 whatever healing, 100 healing done to them. Cool. We'll take it.
mm.
Because this is just like, I'm so scared. She's nanoed. She's nanoed. There we go. Well, almost.
You needed a doctor?
Oh, supports of our sniper? Okay.
Damage.
The sniper does have sights up.
Where does it hurt? Enemy contact. Damage increase.
Okay. There. Nice dagger.
30 seconds remaining.
I'm taking care of you.
Don't screw it up. Thank you kindly.
Okay. What do I want you to do right now?
Well, I bulked and I went out the front window towards my team because I was scared of that
Cool.
Winston.
Cool. I'm good with it. I'm good with it because this Winston is kind of committed. He hasn't used leap yet, but he's sort of gone for this. These guys have gone for this. These guys have taken their angles. These guys are ready to commit, right? This team
Yeah,
here?
this is. Yeah, I really, really, really wanted this to be the last fight.
Okay.
Um,
And I'm good
but
with that. We want this to be the last fight, and the opponents have set this up to start the fight right now. It's a little weird given that their Reaper is missing because she was Widow before. It's a little weird that they're committing to this fight right now, but this team is really like ready to take this fight. If you wait any longer, they're going to start it, and we would like to Valk sort of just before they start it. Your team's positioning sucks. They're all huddled together, which, like, yes, will make your Valk beam chain bounce, but you can't control your team's positioning. So we're just going to deal with it. This fight is about to start. This is a good time to Valk.
Heroes never
Sure.
die.
And what do I want you to be doing now? How is everyone's health?
everyone's health is pretty good. I need to be damage boosting. I do think I do swap to damage
do.
boost, and I do damage boost
Some.
fairly, not yeah, a bit during this fight.
Okay.
Um,
Good.
10 seconds.
Okay. So you panicked and went back to heal here for the half health Zarya
Mhm.
right after the purple ended, but other than that, this was pretty good. Your
Right,
your Ana
thank you.
totally has the Zarya under control. Yep, no problem.
Let me get you patched up.
Okay. Okay. So here's another good situation.
Let me get you patched up.
Okay. There's a Reaper inside your team, right? Can you possibly out heal the damage that this Reaper is going to do?
Oh no way! He just deletes everything.
Right, there's a close Reaper. So the only way that you can help this situation is you can pray that your team is going to shoot at the Reaper, and you can pray that they do enough damage either to eliminate him or to get him to Wraith and leave, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're wrong here. It looks like you are going to do some damage boost, but I just want you thinking about these sorts of situations where it's like maybe this is different if you have a diva. Maybe this is different if Reaper is outside of a Winston bubble or something like that. But right now, there's a Reaper in your team. No amount of healing that you can offer, other than him having bad aim to go with you offering healing, is going to help your team against this. They just need him removed, and you can help with that. And ultimately, here you
Yep.
are. Yeah. Good.
So I probably
This is the peak
should I have
performance
swapped to
levels.
healing my Ana up there? I guess he was wraithing away.
Yeah, that was fine. So you do
Yeah,
this,
okay, cool.
you do this. He's now backing out. He's not wraithing yet, but like you're like, hey, it's my Ana. My Ana's down super critical, like 20% life. I'm fine with you now healing your Ana. I probably wouldn't heal your Ana all the way, except that now Reaper's separated even more, so now it's fine to be healing your Ana for sure.
Yep. Yep.
You should be at peak performance levels.
That one wasn't so much a you drove this fight wrong. This was more me just going, hey, we talked about duels or we talked about situations where it makes more sense to force with damage boost rather than heals, and I wanted you to see another one there and understand it as an example.
No, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so this hurts a little. This is just movement. You got knocked over here, no problem. Can anyone hurt you right now?
If I jump into the sight line of soldier at the front there, then yeah, because that Winston's
Yes.
dead. I should have stayed
You're
here.
totally safe right here. Or if you want to switch sides, that's fine with me. But you just Guardian Angel and then do your little hop tech past to end up over here. Either one of those is fine with me. But your Guardian Angel tech is actually easier if you're further away. That's not someone we can Guardian. We can't Guardian Angel here. We had to Guardian Angel back here and do a hop tech to put ourselves behind this pillar, or we had to stay here. All good.
Yep.
Let's get you back out there.
Sure.
Damage increase.
I don't think you're going to help him out. Interesting.
I really felt like if we didn't win on this point, we
was
weren't going to
over.
win the game.
Okay.
And so I really, really wanted to win here. Now this is the res that I really want to talk about because again I'm thinking my thinking here is our win condition is going to be Torp using his ult again.
Okay.
He's going to use that. They're not going to be able to contest the point. Our ball's going to come back really, really soon. He's going to do his spin to win. And it's in overtime. They're gonna be forced off, and we're gonna hold the point here, and we can't go into another fight because that Reaper is just and my
Okay.
team is not dealing with him. So that was my thinking there. But I died for this res. So
Sure.
I knew that the two in front of me kind of moved around in front of the cart, which is where I thought I might have a window to do it, but I wasn't thinking about the Anna who had nothing better to do but kill me,
Hmm.
which is why I died. But I also thought that my bowl was a little bit further away than he was. So if I really wanted to win the fight here, was going for this res when I went for the res the right move? Should I have realized that my bowl was pretty much back and then maybe super jumped off the res and picked up the ball and sustained the ball while trying to be on the high ground, and then my team can kind of come back in? Or is that going to be too risky? He's not really going to be able to survive that long, but he's got really good mobility. So I'm trying to understand,
Sure.
if I played this better, could I have stopped the fight here and had us full hold?
Maybe, maybe. So if we're looking for your question becomes, is this your best opportunity to try to look for a res in a second tier, or is your best opportunity to look for a res after your Hammond is back? And it's a little.
Mm,
I mean, that's sort of what your question boils down to, really. Like your Hammond makes a better distraction than almost anyone on your team, so that might be the better chance for a res. Or do you go, hey, this is four of us here. Four's a pretty good number. It doesn't get much better than that. I want to go for the res while we have four, right? Like that's
no,
really what you're.
I
Go ahead.
went for the res when it was only me. Because our Torb runs in here and they die very, very quickly. Our
Mm-hmm.
McCree gets ult off on the top, so he kills two.
Mm-hmm.
Then Anna runs in to contest and she dies really, really quickly. And then there's a second where a couple of them are around the other side of the payload, and that's the window that I used.
Okay.
But it wasn't a great window because Anna could see me and she killed me.
Got it. So you're here. Right now we're playing the game normally. He goes down and you go, oh, I don't like this. You could hang out over here if you're trying to hide so that you can stealthily get a res. I kind of like the idea of damage boosting our Kree, right? Because like,
Mm-mm,
hey,
that's I
good.
think that's what I went for here.
Okay.
I think I can't remember. I flew to him with heal or blue.
Okay.
Or not anything actually. I just
Yeah,
flew in.
you flew in, you were slow, you'd swapped to your weapon there, not a big deal. You were just slow to recognize it. Okay, so he's got a few eliminations for us, so you've potentially got a chance
Let
here
me
to
get
hit
you
this.
patched up.
He's now dropped. He's going to flash something. Yeah, this seems like as good a time as any to get your res. Like, don't get me wrong. We don't love it. Oh, you don't go for the res there. Oh, because you're trying to...
Yeah.
Oh, I see the
So
problem.
maybe it was there. I should have gone for the res, and it's delaying that and going for it here. So I also thought my bowl was further away than they actually were at
Hmm.
this point too. Like he's actually almost there. So I could have actually, instead of resing here, tried to support the ball and tried to sustain until my team came back. Instead, I
Yeah,
res right in front of Anna,
I
and
mean,
she's got nothing better to do.
she's got literally nothing better to do than try to sleep you.
Mm.
But what we're going to run into here is, so the question becomes, were you better off trying to hit a res here, or were you better off trying to hit a res here? Were you better off hitting a res close to the Reaper, or were you better off hitting a res in blind side of the Anna? And I don't,
Yeah.
neither of those are good options, right? They both just suck. On the other hand, your ball's about to pile drive. That'll knock the Reaper up a bit. That'll knock the Reaper up for high ground to take. I mean, like it's all sort of like there's not a perfect res to be had here. So it looks like you want to micro this res, and I can absolutely micro this res. Don't get me wrong. But what we're generally looking at here is going to be, let's go back here to where I think the best res we've seen so far would have been, which is we wanted to damage boost that. If we damage boosted that, doesn't look like it gets any more eliminations. Here, if we'd gone for the res right here, well, actually, if we'd gone for the res right here, this is literally as good as it gets in terms of res opportunity. You don't have the full perfect
Yeah.
awareness that we do, but this is as good as it gets. The McCree is stunned. The Anna doesn't have a sight line. The Winston is already here as he committed his leap. He's already committed his leap. He's probably going to walk over and zap you, but you'll get the res off and he won't eliminate you before that. So, like, this was as good as it gets in terms of opportunity, but I don't actually think that this is a terrible res idea. Like, the Reaper is looking away. you don't know where the Anna is. I know you don't know where the Anna is. We could say that you should
I
know where
didn't
the
see it
Anna
till
is.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
So then it's like, should I, I probably feel like maybe I should have looked around a little bit more before this, but you've got so little time. You have to make
Let
these
me get you
decisions
past
so
that.
quickly.
Sure.
So was it, I
When you're
didn't look around during
when
this
you're up
jump is
here, right?
maybe,
You should have looked around
mm,
more during this jump, but the reality is that would have told you what? That like the Anna can threaten you. If you want to make the stop here, do you think you're gonna have a better chance to res after this? Maybe, but the
well,
ball's going to pile
mm,
drive the Reaper, and the Reaper's just going to shoot you in the head, right? Because if you realize the
mm,
end's there,
mm,
you're going to go here, and the Reaper might just get distracted and shoot at the ball, but that's counting on the Reaper to not realize what you're doing and turn and just Nano Reaper headshot you from above, right?
mm,
So I'm
yep.
not actually too worried about this one. I'm not saying that you couldn't just win this fight and that you couldn't have made the hold here, but making the hold here probably had more to do with forcing an extra elimination here and there with Blue Beam in this match and changing the outcome of a different team fight than it did the res right here or 3 seconds ago. Like the res, 2 seconds ago, yes, that would have been a better res and it probably would have worked better, and maybe that does flip things, but I wouldn't beat yourself up over this one too much. Like this is a like, oh, could this specifically have changed this match? We can micro the bejesus out of this and make it perfect. But the thing is, it's really a yes, you should understand how to read res situations, but this is like you ulting 1v6 on this is like you walking out of spawn here when the cart's about to cap and going, I'm ulting 1v6. Well, that's a bad ult. Well, no, it's not, because what else are you going to do, right? And you're sort of in that situation with this res. So I'm not actually that worried about it.
Yep, yep. Okay, no, thank you for. I felt like this was a moment where I kind of lost because I died here, so I felt like
Sure.
I really lost the game here and just like let my whole team down, and maybe there was something else I could have done to have a different outcome. But I guess that there were a lot more points, like you were saying, where I could have had a different outcome by playing better.
Yep. Not a big deal. You see extra stress, extra weight on this one because it's the overtime fight, but the reality is any of those fights potentially do it.
I must go.
And
where I'm
then
needed.
this is my team does not take space on this third point. We
Ouch.
absolutely fail. We just stand in the back for like a minute and a half,
Sure.
worried about this silly Reaper on the truck. And I don't like. I should have been using voice comms. I should have said, we really need to take space here. But I often play quite lazy and I don't use voice comms. And
I
I
get
think
it.
that's really all I could have done to get my team to push up. I also probably could have damage boosted a bit more to try and really get rid of that Reaper so that my team would then push up, because we were all quite worried
That's
about his ult.
That's the real solution. So the real solution here is yes, you can take over on comms and try to get your team to push, but the real thing is your team doesn't want to go in while this Reaper is here because they would like to clear him first. And we can go, like, our McCree's doing something more interesting than what you're doing anyways. You're boosting this
Mm,
guy who's firing down the middle of the lane. Your McCree is either going to clear a Reaper or play from truck, and truck is good positioning for a hit scan. So what your McCree is doing is a whole lot more interesting to me than what your Torb or your Zarya are doing. Let's go help him out, right?
yeah, I think I really failed my McCree in this third phase. I didn't give him as much attention as I really needed to.
Sure.
I do here, but I've got a really bad angle on it. And then yeah, he gets out with bubble, but
Yep.
he's still around. He comes back again, and I think I just get really confused
You should be at peak performance level.
because I want my team to push.
hmm
I'm not, and my target priority is really bad, and I play it horrendously
So
in this last
here's the
minute.
thing. This is the power position for this portion of the point. If you guys were still back here, this would be the power position. But over here, this
Mm,
truck is actually who controls the truck does a pretty good job of controlling the point. It's not the most powerful power position on any map, but it is the most powerful spot effectively for controlling. Whoever has control of this does a pretty good job of influencing who wins the fight in this half of third point. So your McCree is repeatedly trying to take
mm,
this, and their Reaper is repeatedly trying to take this. And no, if your team has to fight down here, yeah, Reaper is going to sort of do this. If your team has to fight down here, they're going to have like like no angle control. Whereas if your team has this
Mm.
and this, your McCree can shoot them from here while your team shoots them from here, and they're like, we want to shoot at the McCree, we want to shoot at you guys, we want to shoot at the McCree, we want to shoot at you guys. So you understanding that this is a good spot, and that if your team wins this spot, they're probably going to win control over this section of the map, can lead you to backing up this McCree better, or backing up the Torb better if he's challenging for it, which will cause this Reaper to be driven out, which will actually cause, even if the cart comes in a little more, okay, we're going to high noon from up here. We're going to take shots from up here while our Zarya is fighting from over here, while our monkey jumps back here and zaps. Okay, I'm dreaming. Monkeys aren't going to jump to here and zap. Like, they should, but I'm dreaming that they're going to. But, like, this actually is the important position, and if you recognize that this is the important position, similar to... No, it's probably the most important position on the map, actually. Yeah, it's probably sort of the most important position. This might be more important for the first half of third, but this is a really strong position, and it's, if you recognize that, you can make it happen.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense actually. And I really should have been. Well, like McCree's so good for Reaper. He's got the flashbang, everything, and I should have been so much more focused on my McCree here.
All good, but yeah.
And I wonder here where I got bubbled by my Zarya just there. Like, I felt like this was a lost fight, and maybe we could have a chance of a recontest. So I didn't bulk.
Sure.
And I just, was that the right decision, or should I have tried to bulk in that instant I got bubbled?
I really wasn't going to make very much difference, because if you used your Valk there, you were basically then going to go be an annoying moth that stalled Cart, which is fine, and Cart ended up already getting stalled. You couldn't have known that that was going to happen, but it ended up happening, and now you're using your Valk to travel, which isn't, like, amazingly better, but at least you'll get to do a little Valk work here. So that's, again, in the, I don't care much either way category.
Yep. Cool.
10 seconds remaining.
I think you can find a res, though. Like, you do sort of want one. Okay, we're not going to. Fine. That's fine now.
Yeah, no, I was, I wasn't looking for that res opportunity at all in that point. I probably should have. I was more concerned about just staying out of line of sight.
And your respawns are very close, so it's not the end of the world to be like, hey, we'll do that. You know, healing the purple Torb in the grab is the best thing in the world, but that's okay. Healing the purple, not the best thing in the world. Oh, unfortunate.
Yeah, we all got biffed off by Winston there.
Yep, he'll do that.
Ready for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Ability
Down. Focus on
escort the
Back in my day, we have
healing down and
So you have yourself an Echo now, and a Soldier. Okay. And you've still got Anna for the tank.
your support has arrived.
I wish I followed that Echo there with damage, but I think I was healing Anna getting attacked by Winston.
Yep, and I don't mind that. Anna's a pretty high priority heal for you.
Your support has arrived.
So, like, your Echo can certainly use the enable right now, but Anna's a pretty high priority heal for you. Turns out Anna actually doesn't get in much trouble here, but
Yeah,
I
no,
understand the
I was
concern.
healing someone else. Yeah, so.
Okay. Probably don't need to Guardian into that. Oh boy.
Right beside you.
That was gutsy. That was gutsy with Leap on cooldown, but okay.
Yeah, no, I actually realized I'm not actually very good at tracking Winston's cooldowns. I feel like he's a little bit of a blind spot for me. I was not even thinking of Winston jumping me here. I was
Sure,
like,
you were
I've
thinking
got
about the
some
Widow
nice
sightline.
cover.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right beside you.
So that is.
This res might be on the table, but if this res is going to be on the table, you really need your team to push. You really need your team to be a bit more of a distraction than it was here. Fortunately, the Zarya is going to bubble you. It ends up okay.
Oh, it doesn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
So it was a pretty bad decision, that one. And like you say, yeah, my team wasn't pushed up enough for it, so I didn't have enough of a
Good as
distraction.
new.
And I wasn't thinking about Winston at all.
Yep. And if your team isn't going to push up, okay, we're not that far from spawn. I guess I'll just wait for the person to spawn normally. Not a big deal.
Mm.
Get over here and heal him.
'Cause I don't know why I came back here. I was like
neither.
retreating. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to spawn. Then I was like, no, I have to save them. Sorry, I don't know why.
Sure, sure.
Still got it.
Die wunderer modernen
Brain went full autopilot. I get it.
Yeah, basically it just went, oh no,
performance level.
I must save these people that are already dead.
You need a doctor?
Detected.
Damage and what we want with it.
Tactical visor activated.
Sure.
I'm feeling unstoppable.
Good.
Payload secure.
How do you feel about this fight right this second?
I think that we're in a really good position for this fight. I think
Okay.
that I got way too focused on my Winston here, and I basically just flew into the whole enemy, which
Yep.
was a little bit insane.
Yep.
And I got very lucky.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. So we're good. I don't know why we would necessarily drop here. Like, again, we were perfectly happy up here. We can boost our Torb. We can boost our Soldier. We could use our Anna to hop ourselves up here if we really had to. But okay, we're going to fly in. This is wild.
Get over here and heal him. Very
Never.
Yes.
Auf einer Skala.
Bloodthirsty. But hey.
Mark, come here and get stabilized.
You've got this.
Time to let off some steam!
Powered up.
Sniper, be careful.
Enemies detected.
Let me get you patched up.
Sure. That was a pretty long time. So, like, you're helping these guys. That's a pretty long time to not check this way again. Like, I'm worried. This is pretty normal for opponents to push back in this direction. This is main, etc. Yes, your team is over here, so some of them are going to be aware of that. But what are the odds that someone just autopilots back on the other team and goes here because this is where they go, and they go, oh, look, a mercy. Like, you want to have a chance of catching that with just your flank checks effectively, because you don't need to stare at Soldier to damage boost him or heal him, right?
No, not at all. I'm very disappointed that I wasn't checking that other side enough in this point. I was really slow on it.
Sure. What could you do right now?
I think that I could be damage boosting there
Sure.
instead of healing.
Sure.
Especially the talk there.
This fight looks pretty real, right?
So you're saying I should Volk here?
I bet you could Valk and go push these guys. Like, look at this. Your Zarya is pushing from this angle. You have 3 people that you're going to get with your Valk, plus you're here. Yeah, Anna's not going to be able to help, but, like, I'm not really sure I care. You can choose not to Valk. I don't mind if you just choose to hold this space. I just don't want you to lose someone before you get an opportunity to win with Valk.
I do think I Volk very close to here. I'm just not sure when I do it. I think it's...
Sure. Okay.
I think I do it. I've probably left it way too late. Yeah, I do it here. So my monkey had to commit his ult. And look how low they were. If I'd done it earlier, I could have been damage boosting him, zapping them all on the card. It probably would have been a lot better.
Probably a little better, yeah. Ultimately, we should still get this done. Maybe not now.
Oh, this part's really bad. I think I heard the soldier ult go off, and I was just like, yep, I'm just gonna stay in here, and whoever dies, dies. I don't care. But I was healing way too much there as well.
Right, you can get him out of that situation a little bit faster by actually punishing the monkey harder. With the damage boost. You got it.
Engaged.
Why are we going in? Why? Why do we want to be here?
Stay out of my way. Get over here.
Better. I don't know why you dropped.
Let's get you back out there.
Good.
Now this soldier on the high ground here,
Mhm.
I ran away from him.
Sure.
He's very, very scary. But should I have actually tried to cap him here and kill
No.
him, and then I could maintain high ground?
No. He's standing in a healing station. There's no way.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
Okay. Probably just tuck yourself into here. That gives you the angle to protect against that. You still have, see how you can still pick your targets. You can cover on this, etc. I think this, yeah, I don't, you're just counting on people like Soldier to not hit you right now, which is sort of like, I hope they don't have good aim. Now you do it. Good. Turns out there was a Tracer in there. That makes sense. She recognizes that it's a good place for you to retreat to.
Yeah.
Okay. And without further ado, we got that.
Back in the fight.
Yeah.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
I'm with you. Damage boost engaged.
Sure, we're healing our monkey a little hard. We're boosting our Torb, probably made more sense. We're saving our Ana, but okay.
Healing stream engaged.
He's fine. Swap to Soldier. Fine.
I'm taking. Help me. I'm taking care.
Yeah, there was the potential we could have forced this fight with Valk earlier, but let's keep an eye open for the next one. Yeah, let's boost him. Yep.
Increase.
The payload stop.
Healing stream engaged.
Oh, I was just talking there without using my push to talk.
Verstärkt.
Oh yeah. Good
I was
conversation,
just
I hope.
saying. Oh, it was an amazing conversation. But no, I was just sort of reflecting there that I tend to use my Vault quite defensively, and I'm not recognizing too well those areas where I've got a
Mhm.
very good offensive push with my Valkyrie, and that's something I think I need to be able to see
It's
a little bit
really big
more.
for trying to like not take over games, that's really too strong a word, but really for having a big positive influence on games, for having a big like, hey, my team just can't get anything done, just can't win fights. Recognizing when you can convert an even fight into an advantage fight or a slight advantage into a slam dunk is really useful with Valk, because again, trying to Valk like it's a transcendence to like save a team that's in trouble, just not very helpful.
Healing stream engaged.
So you're just looking for sort of once the opponents are committed, these opponents are pretty committed, right? Like these opponents are going to struggle to run away. Maybe they could get out. Maybe they could use their bubbles, use their leaps and get out. But these opponents are in the fight, right? And your team is in the fight too. So
Mm,
you could Valk
So
right now.
I should have. I really should have bulked here. That would have been like the Winston is so committed there.
Hmm.
Zaya's already used her bubble. That would have been a good. And my Zaya's going to get some really nice charge
Yep. You got
there
it.
as well. Yeah. And
And
instead,
you'll
I go way too close and then run away,
right.
and we've killed the Anna there as well.
And
So
you have 2.5 minutes left, so you'll probably still get another Valk that you can try to win last fight with, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I really need to start looking for those offensive Valkyries.
Damage amplified.
Tactical visor activated.
Okay.
Shots find their mark.
You should be at peak performance level.
Now see what I can do.
Okay.
Damage boost engaged. I'm under attack.
What do I want you to do right now?
My soldier is attacking the bastion on the high ground behind us, or is trying to.
Hmm.
And I probably should maybe have been a bit more focused on that. Here, I'm probably healing there, aren't I? Was just silly. Um, but yeah, I need uh, getting that Winston down is very very big for us.
How could you get
Was
that Winston down?
damage boosting 100%.
Damage boost is pretty
Um,
good for that. That Bastion
I could
behind you
even
is a problem, but the real
mm,
solution here is what's better than damage boosting one person?
add Vulking and
Yes. These guys, this
yeah.
is last fight. They have to take this fight. They don't have to take this fight this instant, but they kind of are stuck already taking this fight, right? This Winston is already in this fight. They've already decided to take this fight. Yes?
Yep, yep.
If you eliminate this Winston, this is last fight. They might stagger, they might be staggering after your Valk is over, but you're going to win the thing that is this fight if you Valk right now, assuming the Bastion doesn't just, tear apart your team from behind, which could be a problem, but you can't really solve for that. So, like, other than telling your team, hey guys, there's a Bastion behind us, and you yourself playing out of his line of sight, you can't solve that. So, like, yeah, we're just going to Valk this right now, because the fight looks good. This Winston is committed. In fact, they're already down one. Let's absolutely do it.
Heroes never
There it
die.
is. But again, we'd have gone if we'd just gone even like a second earlier with that Valk. We'd have put more damage into that Winston. We'd have been able to do more blue beam. It sort of snowballs. Ultimately, this should work
Yeah. No, actually it doesn't.
I said
think
should.
I should have. I think I should have supported my Winston there. I kind of stayed too focused on the tanks, and I feel like if I'd maybe gone forward and supported my Winston, I could have kept him alive, and we could have kept the momentum in that fight. He died, and we
Sure.
crumbled completely.
Sure. Yeah, you do have some good mobility to be able to do that when you've got the ult. That's true.
And yeah, all the fights are pretty scrappy from here. We never take it.
Yep, but you're gonna get one more Valk, so I want to keep looking because it'll be a question of is there a fight that you can difference make with the Valk? And the answer might be no. The answer might be no. We could talk more about some of your beam banishment continuing here. I'd prefer not to Valk out here. I'd prefer to earn our way at least halfway back in before we do.
Damage amplified. Where does it hurt?
30 seconds.
Valk up.
Heroes
Yep.
never die.
You're a little late there, but yeah. Okay. Does make a difference.
Yeah, no, I think maybe there I was then too focused on my Winston, and when my Anna was getting jumped by a nano boot, was he nano boosted?
Yeah.
So, and my Winston had he'd taken a lot of damage and gone into danger, but then he wasn't the right target.
Oh yeah. All good. So you tried to someone went around and tried to backcap, but they had a soldier above it. Okay, so if I look at this, we talked about a ton of different things for you. We talked about a few to start before we even got into the game, but really the two biggest things that I'm going to want you to work on from looking at this game. The first one is going to be you just need to get comfortable. You just need to mechanically get comfortable. Like your hands need to be comfortable. Just like as you play video games, you get comfortable like moving your character with WASD or whatever the case may be. You get comfortable and it's just like you don't put any thought into that. We need to get you there where it's comfortable to move with blue beam. Like we really need to do that. That's really going to be a thing because there's a lot of whenever you're under any pressure, whenever you're under like, oh shoot, I'm thinking about too many things at once, you default to yellow. And it's okay to be defaulting to yellow in the short term, but we need to get you to a situation where there's at least no mechanical component of added brain complexity to doing it. Like the mechanical components are just as easy for you to blue versus yellow there, and then we can get you to the decision making. So like I actually want you to go practice doing some super jumps with blue beam. Go practice doing like, hey, I'm going to intentionally while playing the game, competitive games, maybe for 5 games, maybe for 20 games, maybe for 40 games, intentionally put some effort into doing blue beam while I'm under pressure. And then there can be certain trigger events like if a Winston is zapping me, it's basically automatic that I'm blue beaming type thing. Like if I'm in trouble, I don't want to say if you're in trouble, it's always automatic to blue beam, but if you're in trouble, and you're with someone who you think should be peeling for you, blue beam should sort of be automatic, right? Like if you're the one being shot at, not them, and you're in a 1v2 situation, it should sort of be automatic, right? And you can sort of make those like little micro flags to help trigger your brain to train it to do what you want there. So does that make sense as the first point?
No, that really makes sense. I think
Okay.
that's a really good idea to modify one of those super jump training maps and put some like teammates in there and just really practice with and so it becomes that sort of automatic gameplay instead of what it is at the moment, which is the healing gameplay, or even just trying to think about it a little bit more
Yep.
as I'm playing.
Yep, perfect. And then once you've got that dealt with, we're going to solve what you call this moth to the flame thing. Once you've sort of implemented this in and gotten this solved as a hey, you are comfortable doing either. That doesn't mean you're always going to make the right decision because there's still a lot going on, but you're really mechanically comfortable doing either. We're going to move on and we're going to want you to really just wean out of your system this let me fly into danger thing. We don't fly into danger. We fly past danger sometimes, we fly above danger sometimes, we fly through danger sometimes, but we simply don't do guardian angels that leave us in danger by and large, right? Like if we are in a situation where our team is pushing here and like, oh, there's a Zarya there and that's scary, we might guardian angel from here to here and have an angel. We might super jump ourselves up to here and be able to do this, up to here, and okay, pretend this Bastion isn't here and do this. We might in a situation where, hey, there's a bunch of enemies over there, we might guardian angel through it over to here, but we just don't guardian angel into the backs of our teammates isn't really a good place to be. We want to be more on the side of the fight, right?
Yeah, no, I need to be a lot more intentional about where I want to end up with my GA,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I'm very stressed out about a fight because like I got so lucky in so many places in this game. I really
Right.
should have just been deleted immediately. Um
A little bit.
yeah. So yeah, no, that does make I've got to be really there's got to be a plan of where I'm going to land, and it's got to not be just blind panic.
Yep. So like
Um
every guardian angel should really be a I'm guardian angeling to safety. Now you can get a little complicated and do some sort of zigzag guardian angel type things that do put you in danger for a moment, but they're necessary to get to where you need to go. But really that's not the norm and that's not something I would want you to think about. I would want you to think about this for now as like every guardian angel should really take you to some degree of cover. Maybe that's high ground, maybe that's the side, but you're really not willing to guardian angel into danger. You might do it at the very end of a point to get a risky res off like we talked about at the end of second tier, but even that you were thinking about the card, etc. So we really want our guardian angels not to just be into the middle of your team. You're not comfortable in the middle of a fight, actually. You're much more comfortable on the side of a fight or above a fight than you are in the middle of it or behind it, right?
mm. Yeah, no, that is very true. So yeah, that is definitely being much more intentional about that. Really, really planning where I want to
Mm-hmm.
end up and always making sure it's going to be in a safe spot. That's definitely something to work on.
So those I would say from this gameplay are the two most important things for you to work on. There's definitely other things
Mhm.
you could work on. Like you could go, hey, we talked about how to level up your Valks, how to use them offensively. That would absolutely help you and it's important, but I wouldn't put it as a top two there. We could absolutely
Mhm.
talk more about recognizing these duels and when to force blue beam versus yellow beam, etc. But that's going to be in some ways walled behind getting comfortable using blue beam while doing other things, right? And you could get some improvements on it without first unlocking that because there's times when you're not doing other things that you're yellow beaming when you should be blue beaming. But like most of this stuff is either going to be walled behind or is going to be harder to access or not going to get as much value as these first two things that I want you working on. So even though we talked about lots of things here, and you're welcome to review this, it's going to be, it's posted. You'll be able to see the VOD, and we did include the response to the you feel like you're healing too much, you're getting in a bit of a rut, etc. type thing. It's an opportunity cost, or it's sunk cost at that point. It doesn't matter. You just have to let it go. Really not a big deal. But while those are there and those are definitely things we can all talk about, I think those first two things that I just gave you here are going to be the things that you want to work on one at a time with like 5 to 15% of your brain power until you can really work them in and get more comfortable with them. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, no, that's really, really good. Thank you very, very, very much.
Of course.
That's definitely I'll make sure that I work on that. For that will be the forefront of my thought
Perfect.
in my games. No, thank you very, very much. I see we went a little bit over, so I'll put in enough in your PayPal to make it an hour and a
Sure.
half.
Sure. I appreciate
So
that. You don't
thank
have to, but I do appreciate that. Um,
Oh, no, that's easy. I respect your time very much, so I'll do that for you. And thank you for going over as well.
no problem.
Um,
No problem.
mm.
Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and end